Hello, hello. My name is April Malone with Yes, I Work From Home, and this is the podcast. Today I have my friend Michelle Zuspan with me. Michelle is in Texas. Thank you for coming today.
Hi.
So,
Hello.
Michelle and I have met on Zoom. We're like Zoom friends, but we haven't been real life in-person friends yet. But I hope that we'll have the opportunity soon. Do you want to chat a little bit about what you're up to, Michelle, where you're at, what you do, and how it's going?
Sure. Well, I'm currently in a transition part of my life, and I am transitioning to a new work-at-home position. I have been working from home since the pandemic started, and I was kind of forced into it, of course, like a lot of other people. And over time have decided that the company that I was working for just maybe wasn't a good fit for me. So I'm in transition to another remote position, and looking forward to the bright future.
Yeah. Now, as
Yeah.
things are kind of opening up a little bit, as you're weighing your options, did you make a conscious decision to continue on in that work from home lifestyle, or is that something that you just kind of fell into as you were job hunting?
That is something that I wanted to continue. I do like the fact that I'm at home. I'm here. I'm a single mom. So the fact that I am not necessarily immediately available, but that I am present in the home when my daughter gets home from school gives me a warm sense, just a warm feeling. Even if she can't get my attention right away because I am busy, the fact that I'm here, if the house were burning down, I'm sure it would be okay for me to step away from my position at that moment. So the convenience, the savings of money, gas, time, wear and tear on a vehicle. I mean, there's so many reasons of why working from home, it's even good for the environment. And I'm an environmentally friendly person as well. So I just think overall it's just a good decision.
Right.
I'm a social person, so for me to say I would want to be at home is something not everyone would believe me if I said it. So they would be like, "What? You work from home?" No. But it works. I find other ways to be social. That's how I met you.
Yes. Actually, I really agree. I am so social that it can sometimes be a little problematic with workflow. They talk about the whole water cooler talk, and I would prefer to be talking at the water cooler all of the time at times. I remember just turning around and like chatting all the time with the lady behind me, and she was much more introverted than I was. And so I could tell that she was trying to focus, and I was probably distracting her quite often. So when I went home, I really missed that turning around and just being able to blurt out this funny thing that had happened on the way to work or something like that. How long did it take you to kind of like settle into that that aloneness that you have when you're at home alone? And you said your daughter was off at school.
Yeah, when we first started out, she was home. They didn't have in-person schooling at first.
Yeah.
So for about 2 or 3 weeks, she was at home, and it was very, very difficult because my position at the time, I was on the phones. So from the moment that I clock in, I'm literally on the phone. I get a 15-minute break, 2 15-minute breaks, and a 30-minute lunch.
Okay.
And that was not time for me to make sure my kid is doing what she needs to do for school. So settling into being home alone, I guess, I don't know if I can really answer that because I'm an only child. So being alone is something that I'm very used to. Not that I like it, but I think once I had my computer set up and my desk the way that I wanted it, I was settled in, and that was enough. Being alone is not something that bothers me. Some people it does. I mean, do I prefer to be alone? No, not really, because I'm an extroverted person. I have a need for people. But I would say maybe about a month or two till I was adjusted to the lifestyle.
Okay. What about the fact that you're just on the phone all of the time and you're always talking? Did that help? Because is that what you were already doing when you were on site?
Yes, that's what I was doing on site. It does help. The days go by fast. Your mind is continuously occupied, but at the same time, the expectations were still the same as they were when we were on site. So when we went home, on site you have someone to cook your food for you. So it's like going to a fast food restaurant. It's right there. Boom, you eat.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
when you're at home, you got to prep your meal. So I only have 30 minutes, and 30 minutes goes by really fast. So, and 15 minutes is not really long enough. Yeah, I might not have very far to go, but during that travel from my office downstairs to my refrigerator, there's multiple things that come and distract you along the way. And so it made it, I don't even think I could still adjust to the 30-minute lunches. The 15-minute breaks, it's like whatever. It was always fast to begin with before, but I think my biggest thing that I had a problem with is the lack of exercise,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
mobility, just moving around and walking to the break area. And because
Hmm.
it was a fairly large building, and it just walking there and getting that exercise and movement, it allowed you to just get the blood flowing. And then you
Yep.
come back and you're like, okay, ready to work. And I didn't really have that.
Yep. Yeah. Even to go to the bathroom. I know when I was working on campus, when I worked for Mayo Clinic, it was, thinking about the size of my house compared to how far we were walking inside of those buildings were huge. And so just to come from the car 7 blocks to the front door, through across the lobby, up into the elevator, and across, half of the building, and then back to the bathroom, you're walking a lot during the day. And when I got home, I started working from home. I think at one point I just joined a gym, but that was pre-pandemic and also pre-children and pre-marriage. So yeah, getting that exercise. We've actually started. I've noticed that my husband has been trying to sometimes at lunchtime just take a lap around the block. But you've probably had to think about how to prep your food differently. Did it change the way that you eat?
I can't eat anything hot. It has to be cold and fast.
Yeah.
So peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I mean, something just quick. I just I have tended to prep things the night before. Like if I want to slice an apple, I do it the night before. Things like that. Just that way, it makes it convenient. Because
Mhm.
when it's go time and lunchtime is over, I can't take food to my desk and eat
Okay.
at my desk.
Yeah.
Because I'm on the phone. They're going to be able to tell those calls
Yep.
are listened to. I'll get in trouble
Yeah.
if I'm chomping away on the phone. So, yeah, I definitely did have to plan ahead,
Mhm.
being that I'm working from home, which you would think you'd be planning less.
It's almost like you're packing a lunch like you would be if you're going into the office.
Correct. But what I would do is I would just get lunch there because it was cheap, it was fast,
Mhm.
and it was really good, and I loved their stuff. They had the best cookies.
Mm. Oh. Wow. So, when you're alone and single, or you have your daughter, just two people, you cook differently when you run out of your or what am I trying to say? When your food expires so fast. Like I remember growing up in a family with 9 brothers and sisters and just a billion people in the house, and a loaf of bread would last about half a day, and we just go through, and when I started working from home and living by myself and not leaving and, whatever, just being there, I didn't realize how fast bread can mold and just little things like that. And so, yeah, having to try to like totally rethink the way that you prep your meals is a big deal. Do you ever do like a big weekend cooking thing and then like put things into partitions or freezer bags or anything like that?
Not really. I get off with enough time for me to make dinner. My bread is always in the refrigerator. It's
Okay.
cold bread.
Yeah.
except for maybe the first few days. But yeah, bread takes a while for us to go through it. But you know, I just I usually go grocery shopping every week
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like every 2 weeks and buying a lot because stuff does expire.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's just the way that I do things now, my daughter still goes to school, so it's not like both of us are eating at home all day. It's just
Mm-hmm.
basically one meal, and then I just try to get some snacks and stuff to eat throughout the day, nuts or whatever on break, and then an apple at lunch, and then I just eat a healthy dinner. So
Yeah.
nothing with that has really changed for us.
I've learned that nuts can be problematic because you could eat it 15 minutes ago and then like all of a sudden there's one caught in your throat and you're like, and like on camera or on the phone. So yeah, I've even had to look at, they're such a quick, easy, fast snack and, satisfying, but I'll be like, can't risk it. So yeah, carrots too.
Well,
Have,
I've tried smoothies where you put like they're kind of chunky, but you put the nuts and everything in the
oh,
smoothie
yeah.
with some yogurt, some apples, some juice. You just kind of mix it
Yeah.
all up. So that is one way that I have found to still get my nutrients while I'm working because I could
Mm-hmm.
take a drink while I'm working. So
Okay.
and
Okay.
it's a little, you got a little chunks in it, but it's good. It's enough to where you're not like chomping in someone's ear.
I've never put nuts into a smoothie. I do have a smoothie that I've talked about actually quite a few times on this podcast, but I've never actually told people what I put in it. But I pack like a pound of spinach into my blender and then I throw in like some coconut milk and usually a couple of bananas and then any other fruit. I feel like I always need to have one other different fruit. It could either be like an apple or raspberries or blueberries or strawberries or something, just something for that sweetness. Because it's very thick with spinach, very, very green, like thick, like a paste. um,
Yeah.
but what I've
Well,
learned
and
is
that
that,
would, I mean, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say that actually has helped my muscles to feel better. I didn't realize that magnesium is so amazing for sore muscles or like just that uncomfortable feeling that you get when you're, sedate. Is that right? When you're
Yep.
not moving at all. So, yeah. So, nuts, yogurt. What did you put in yours?
I'll put nuts, yogurt. I just put water in with it
Okay.
to kind of
Give that
make it a
liquid.
little bit not so thick. Yeah. And then I use frozen fruits
Uh huh.
because it makes it more like a slushy.
Uh huh.
And then I'll put almonds or yeah, usually just almonds. I don't do the salted or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You could maybe do some honey roasted almonds if you wanted to add a little bit of sweetness, but I usually just take honey, local honey, and put that in it to
Yeah.
add the sweetness because
Mm-hmm.
local honey's good
Do
for
you mix
allergies in
up?
Texas, anyways, because
Yes,
allergies are bad.
we've had that. Local honey is like it's like liquid gold, literally. Do you make up more than one at a time? Like do you do like double batch or triple batch, or do they not last till the next day?
I'll do a whole pitcher of it,
Okay.
so I can usually get 2 or 3 drinks out of it. Um, my daughter likes them too, so
Mm-hmm.
it that usually goes pretty fast.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. I think that for me, like food has just kind of been a lifelong challenge, or at least since I was like 30. When I was a kid, I would just eat everything. When I was a teenager and a 20 something, I could eat anything and it was fine. But as soon as I hit 30, I had to start to be careful. And so I just have learned that if I have something that's prepped in the fridge that is like a quick and healthy choice, it's much easier to make a good choice if it's just there. Because otherwise I start, I come out in the middle of the night because I work weird hours and I'll just come out roaming for, the fastest, easiest, most satisfying thing I can find. And if there's a picture of that in there, I'm good. Didn't have mine today, so I'll have to go down and have that later. Let's talk a little bit about what
Yeah.
you decided to do when you set up your office. I know a lot of these call centers, I don't know your specific situation, but I know that in general, some call centers have been very specific about like they must have a door that you can close and there's no sounds of any pets or children allowed at all. But since you guys were just quickly needing to come home, what kind of what kind of things did you have to consider as you were looking for where you're going to put up your workspace?
Well, same rules apply. They didn't make any adjustments to that.
Okay.
So, I live in a 2 bedroom, kind of small place. I'm actually growing out of it. I've been here for 6, 7 years, something like that. And, my computer is in my bedroom.
Yep.
So it was the only option that I had because I had to have a closed door.
Yep.
So when I'm working, my door is shut and locked
Okay. Yep.
because there can't be any interruptions. And if
Mm-hmm.
somebody's knocking, I'm not going to answer
Mm-hmm.
unless I can.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the rule, and if the house is burning down, I'm sure she'd be running up there pounding on the door or whatever. But
Yeah.
I had to remove all my smart devices because of the field that I'm in, for security purposes. There's
Yep. No echo
no smart
dots.
TVs, no
Mm-hmm.
smart nothing. So because it could be recording, no phones, nothing.
Wow. That feels, I know that you didn't make the choice to work from home, but that feels really weird that you would have to choose or change what kind of devices you have in your own home. Could it, like, they had to be gone out of your entire home or just out of your office area?
Out of the office area,
Okay.
outside of the room. So when the
Okay.
door shut, it couldn't hear me.
Uh-huh.
And so that was rough because I have a smart home. Everything in my home is smart. Even my lights are smart.
Oh,
So
no.
I had to make adjustments so that I could still turn my lights on without having to tell something to turn them on.
Uh-huh.
You can always do that anyways, but just to adjust myself from doing that
You got,
was
yeah,
different.
used
Like
to
even
it.
a clock. I didn't even have a clock in my room. I had to get an alarm clock just to just to have a clock in my room that wasn't
Oh,
smart.
wow. Wow. Yeah. So it's funny that
Yeah.
we're talking about the whole door closed thing because when I was recording my very last podcast interview, I usually have my office door closed. I'm actually in a small closet. It's like our little bedroom, small walk-in closet that we just took everything out and it's desk and stuff for teaching and working and equipment and, cameras and all of the lighting and everything. So I don't have a lock on this door. And, there's a door that goes into my bathroom and there's a door that goes out of my bathroom and then the door that goes out of my bedroom. And so my kids can just walk right in, which is what my daughter was trying to do. She was knocking really quietly. And the rule that I have made for my kids is that if you knock one time, I will have heard you. But if I can't speak to you, you need to either wait or go find another adult, which, their dad. Because that means that I'm in the middle of something and I literally can't talk to you, but I love you and I can't wait to speak to you, but you'll have to wait. Well, she kept knocking persistently, and finally opened the door. And I'm like holding my hand, off of camera, but I'm like, don't come in. And she was trying to get her computer, and I think she might have even slipped in and got it and left again, which, it's not a big deal. She has interrupted me a few times when I was recording, and it was like, not that, actually a different daughter. We had to stop everything. I had to take care of like fixing her dress or whatever I had to do. We had to cut all of that out of the recording, and, it takes time to make those edits, and that's one reason why I try not to. But in your case, it's a live call.
Yeah, there's no editing that.
Yeah. None of that.
You just have to cross your fingers and hope nobody was listening to that one.
Yes, yes. Is your daughter pretty young, or is she like in her teen years? I'm not even sure.
She's a teenager. She's 13. So
Okay.
she very well understands. Doesn't mean she's going to listen, but
Right.
she's been pretty good so far. There hasn't been any. There's times that she's knocked on the door, and the problem is I'm corded to my computer.
Uh-huh.
So I've got only so far that I could go
Yep.
to reach the door. And so, and for me, it doesn't sit right to put someone on hold for something like that. But
Yeah.
if it warranted itself, it's only going to be a few seconds. I'm sure they would understand. And if I were to get in trouble for something like that, then yeah.
I have a question.
That's another conversation.
Are you using a headset?
Yes.
So is there like a mute
headset
option?
they provided. There is, yeah. There's a mute option, and I've used that before. in certain instances, but sometimes those types of options aren't always available.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily because they're calling with questions, they need something. I'm talking. So for me to just stop talking out of nowhere,
Uh-huh.
or
It's awkward.
them to be talking and me to mute because I'm talking to somebody else, I'm missing some important information.
Got it.
So there's a disconnect sometimes if you do that. So I would much rather just ask them, give me a moment to do a little bit of research and I'll be right back with you. I'm here if you need me, but just bear with me. I'm doing some research. And that is the key word right there, research.
That's it. Okay. Do you have any animals?
I do not yet. I would like to get a dog because I think now is the perfect time because I'm home. But I don't know. It depends on this transition to the new place if that's going to be a good fit. But I would like to have a companion. I've wanted one since I was a kid, and my
Mm-hmm.
daughter's asking me. I want one. I just think, just for therapeutic reasons, I think it would
Yeah.
be a good thing.
Are you a dog person or just, for the
Yes.
record, cats are much quieter than dogs, especially if you're going to be on the phone.
I'm an anti-cat. I
Oh
am
no.
anti-cat all the way. I do not like cats. I had one time, and it was a crazy cat. It climbed up my pantyhose onto my shoulder and started biting me in
Oh
the
no.
face. And I was like, "Oh, you're the craziest cat ever. I'm done."
Oh no. I thought that I wasn't a cat person until I got one. So, the story of my cat is that they found her hiding under my car, and I was helping with like a youth church program. And after this, the teenagers are outside, and they said, "Hey, we found a kitty under your car," and I was like, "Don't touch that dirty thing." And they put her in my arms, and she was like, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you." And
Oh,
she came home with me that night, and I drove to the neighboring town that had a Walmart at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I paid like $180 on cat stuff. And she's still with us 13 years later. Discovered that we're allergic. My daughter and I are both allergic to her, so we have to take like allergy medicine just about every single day. But yeah, my daughter, I walked in the other day and she's just bawling, crying really hard. And I was like, "What's going on?" And she said, "I
hmm.
just was thinking about, what's going to happen someday when our cat is gone." And I was like, "You really
Oh,
love her, huh?" But I never felt like I was really an animal person. But then we did have a few very sweet golden retriever dogs growing up, like very good with children. There were a lot of kids in the family, so it was kind of a requirement. But I did cry pretty hard when, our dog got hit on the highway that we live close to.
yeah.
So, have you ever had one before? It's kind of like having a new baby.
Yeah, I've unfortunately had them and had to let go of them for relationship situations.
Mm.
And circumstantial. I couldn't have a dog with my daughter's father. We had a dog, so we had a dog before we had a kid. So, but when we split, I couldn't take the dog with me, so it kind of we had to give him up for adoption basically. And he was, I actually just, I don't know, like a year ago, found the owner on Facebook
Mhm.
and got to see the dog, pictures of him, like
Oh.
10 years later.
Oh.
And it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. He looks fat and happy, and he's got some hip issues, but he's good. He's a good dog, and
Mhm.
he always was. So we did good when we trained him. But
Yeah.
yeah, I miss having that companionship, unconditional companionship. That is.
Right. What when you were looking, you said you're possibly outgrowing this home that you're in right now. You're looking to spread out a little bit so that you could bring in like a dog, or are you thinking that you might even try to get one now?
I might try to get one now. It just depends if I find the right dog, because I need a hypoallergenic dog. So that limits my types of dogs to find. I would like to adopt a puppy. I'm not that I have a problem with Humane Society or getting a dog that's needs adopted. It's just that I want to be able to train my dog. So
Okay.
and I want it to know me and only me as its
Mm.
owner. So that's just I would like to find a puppy, and that could be challenging for me to
Yeah.
find the right kind of dog that's gonna fit us. I've got a couple of breeds that would be a good mix for us and our lifestyle. It's going to be a smaller dog, which is new for me. But I think we'll make the right choice when the time is right. So I'm not going to rule it out now. I just haven't been really actively looking for one just yet.
So I want to get to talking about what you're going to be doing in the future and what your new opportunity is. But let's finish up talking about your home office a little bit. I like to just kind of hear and imagine what people are doing. I know that you're in your bedroom, but did they give you any equipment? Like you said that they gave you some stuff, but what
Yes.
did they not give you?
Well, okay, so the day that everything happened, and just to reiterate, the reason that I'm moving is I want to have a home office. I want to be able to have a separate room outside of my bedroom so that I can have my own office.
Okay. Yep.
I'm also an entrepreneur, so my work at home is done in all aspects. So I have my own business and I also work for a company. So, but when the day that things started, see, things like this happen when I'm working. That's not okay.
Mine will be going off in 15 minutes. We've got one of those too.
Okay, so but basically, they gave us everything that was on the desk. So we left with both monitors. We had 2 monitors. We left with the CPU. They gave us a headset because we had headsets that were attached to a phone that was on the desk.
Okay.
So mouse and the computer and the keyboard. That's it. That's all they gave us.
And the phone as well?
No, not the phone.
So how did you go from using a phone to not having a phone?
So they had to open up that platform of things to get that to work. So it was a internet-based phone system. So it hooks directly into the computer. So it's all through the computer itself. Now, of course, I use my home Wi-Fi. They didn't pay me anymore. I got paid no extra for working from home. Mm-hmm. Granted, I was saving money because I didn't have to travel. So, I mean, it balanced each other. I wasn't really upset about it, but yet I had to up my internet speeds because I have a smart home with devices on it. So I got a separate modem just for my work computer.
I have actually
because I was having issues with that.
Yeah. I've got my husband working from home and then multiple children. They were doing online school, all 3 of them. Now I just have 1 online, but they're still on the computer. They're still using, researching and, doing projects and typing and things. And at some point I feel like I'm ready to just go for it and maybe even choose a separate internet provider so that if one goes down, the other one could be back up. Did you end up going for 2 modems with 1 provider or how did you do it?
I stuck with 1 provider because it is cheaper that way.
Okay.
To add a device and add that to it, and to up my speeds than to get us completely separate because, you have all those hidden fees that they have in there.
Yeah.
And so you have new hidden fees in the other company. But I'm sure you could find something that's close in comparison, cost-wise.
A lot of times
it just depends on your area.
That first contract, they usually give you like a really great introductory promotion, And I've learned that, and I haven't done it yet this year, but I've learned that if you call back every year, when that promotion expires, if you basically want to talk to the retention department and say, hey, unless you give me something, I've been, eyeballing these other options, they'll usually give you that promotional. But yeah, it bumps up every year. It goes back up, I don't know, $20, $40.
It's a shame that it does that because they should be loyal. They, to their loyal customers, they should be rewarding them for their loyalty.
Right.
Instead, they're punishing them by raising the rates and then, we'll do everything to get you to come over to us. We'll tell you, we'll give you the sun, the moon, the stars. But once you're with us, we don't care about you.
They're always trying to upgrade me. Well, sometimes they'll upgrade me to a speed that I didn't ask for. And then I've had it happen before where they're like, hey, we gave you a complimentary, speed boost or whatever they would call it, you are now getting blah. And after they do that a couple times, they wait about 3 months and they're like, our rates have increased. And I was like, oh, you gave me that
Wow.
free,
Yeah.
boost. And then 3 months later, you came by and just increased your rates. Or the other thing is that they've increased my speed a few times. And I started having problems because my router wasn't compatible with that speed. And the Ethernet cord that I was using wasn't, compatible with the speed or whatever. Like you have to then you have to go back in and get another router and get new cables. And I like having high speed internet.
Yeah, I had to replace stuff.
Mm-hmm. I live in, a metro area right now, and I'm from the country where it was very dial up speed. Even now my parents, they have they can stream Netflix and do all the things, but it's still very limited as far as like a Zoom call is a little bit more challenging at times. Should we talk a little
Right.
bit about where you're going, what you're doing next? Are you moving out of your area, or did you find a company that's close to home or far away?
So it is still going to be a remote position. The company is out of state, so they're not
Mm-hmm.
even in the same state, and I'm going to be their first remote employee.
Ooh,
So I'm not sure what's going to happen. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity to maybe build a foundation for future remote employees. So
right,
this could be a great opportunity for me to implement some things that I've learned being in such a large position with such a large company,
mm,
and bringing it down to a little bit smaller of a company, and just sharing my experiences of what I've experienced working from home already. So I
right.
think that that's what they found valuable as well. Um, so yeah,
I
I'm
know.
not really sure what to expect, but it's still the same type of a position because I'm a licensed agent, so I'm licensed to sell insurance, and
Okay,
so um, I'll still be doing that, and I'll still be doing it as an inbound call position. So calls will be coming in. I'll be fielding those calls or handling those calls coming in. So it's still the same type of an environment.
right.
But it's probably not going to be as busy because it's not as large of a demand.
Company, yeah. Now you said
Yeah.
you're basically closing one door, opening another. Does that mean like equipment is coming in and out too? Are they going to be shipping you equipment to use for the new position?
Yep. Yep. I should be getting it here any day now. So they are providing me with everything again except for the internet service itself.
Okay.
And the desk. Like the desk was a big thing because not everybody has a desk. And my current desk that I had, where my computer is, I can't put it there for security reasons.
Oh, okay.
So my personal computer has moved itself to my dining room,
Got it.
which that's going to change. But um, so I actually, due to the immobility of sitting at a desk all day and not even moving to really much to take my breaks and lunches, I got a sit to stand desk,
Did you purchase it yourself
which is
or
amazing. Yes. And I love it.
uh,
I can't even tell you how awesome it is to just be able to stand up and like everything goes with me.
yes, yes.
Like, they can't see me, but it would be me and you, and in the background things would just start moving. But I would still be seeing, you would still be able to
Yeah.
see me. And the desk, believe it or not, I'm 5'7". The desk comes up to my armpit.
Oh,
It's that
wow.
tall.
My husband has one, and
Yeah.
for anyone that has actually listened to all of my podcast episodes, if you have been with me on this journey, I keep talking about how I'm jealous because he got a nice one. He got an electric one. I always felt like I had a nice sit stand option desk, but what really it is that just the keyboard tray is very wide. It's like half the desk it splits, and I can lift it really high, but it's manual, and it starts to kind of like slide down again. um, but I have to manually also raise my laptop, which I'm using. So I have a split keyboard. What I'm trying to say is I have a Bluetooth keyboard, and then my monitor is attached to my laptop. But in order to do this, I did it last night. My legs have been getting a little like uncomfortable, itchy, like they need to get stretched. I need a massage or something like that. And so I thought last night I should stand up. And so I did. I took a big box. I've got my battery backup box. That is a pretty good height, I would say, for adding under my desk to give that little extra oomph. But it starts to pull on some of my cords. And so like right before we started to record this interview, I thought maybe I'll do this interview standing today, like my first time ever, because we're sitting here for like an hour. And I tried to put the box back under my computer to lift it all up, and it started to like pull on the cords, and it disconnected my camera, and then I had to like restart my computer, and it was a little bit of a pain. So
yeah, that's
cord
something that would not be okay.
Right, yeah. When you're in the middle of something, you can't just get disconnected. And last night I was standing and sitting a couple of times, and I have an extremely sensitive cord attaching my router, and I don't know if I just bumped my chair enough on that mat that the cord was going under that it disconnected my router for like 3 minutes. I was literally in the middle of teaching a kid in China. And they knew that I was gone. She was having connection issues, and then I had a connection issue, and I was able to make up for the lost time at the end, but it's not okay. Like, if there is a limit of how much they'll permit me, and I only have lost my connection like that, like maybe once every 3 or 4 months, for just maybe a 2-minute thing.
That's good. That's good in my book, because we've had, technical issues. This is where I think that because everything is transitioning to becoming more electronic like this, I think that there needs to be a certain amount of understanding.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to be upset if all of a sudden you disappear. I get it. I understand. We'll accommodate,
Yeah.
Most of the people, and what's crazy is that there are times that my computer would like completely black out, freeze and everything, and I'm stuck on the phone with somebody.
Oh.
And it's kind of awkward because I don't even know what to tell them. I just start talking about random personal stuff. So, what's the weather like, or, are those your grandkids I hear? Oh, I hear a dog. What's your dog's name?
And you're just
you really have to learn
to
how to improvise.
Yeah.
Yes, because you can't tell them. You're not supposed to. Okay. But why? Why? Because it makes the company look bad? No. It makes me look bad because I got bad internet because I'm remote working from home. Like, I don't understand why it's such a big secret. With it doesn't make anybody look bad. It's just, it is what it is, and people are very understanding of those types of things. So let's just be real with it all. And, stuff happens, and we just have to improvise and adjust and make do. And it's not unprofessional. It's just normalcy. It's just things, it's uncontrollable.
Man, I would love to talk with someone who works in the internet service provider industry that works from home. Hey, if you're out there, let me interview you because I have a few questions. I'm sure that their growth has been massive, but it's also probably been an extremely huge strain on their whole infrastructure. Speaking of strain and infrastructure, would you like to talk about working from home in Texas this last month or so? You guys had a big snowstorm. You want to get into that?
Sure. It was pretty rough. We were freezing temperatures we've never seen before in our whole life in Texas. I don't know when the last time it got that cold was. I'm from Pennsylvania, so it was even cold for me, that being from Pennsylvania. I've been in Texas half my life, so I guess I'm from Texas now, but I've been in colder weather, but it was just very different. We were not prepared for it. We lost power for about 4 days. We were without electricity. I couldn't stay. I didn't stay here. It was really cold. It was like 40 degrees inside the house. It was 10 degrees outside the house. Luckily, I have things pretty insulated, and I had put a tarp around my front porch to prevent any drafts coming through. I have neighboring walls, so my front and back of my house are exposed to the elements.
Mm-hmm.
But the walls to the sides of me I have sharing neighbors because it's a
Okay.
fourplex.
Okay. So that helps protect your pipes, I'm sure, because they probably run the pipes in between.
Right. So that helped. But being without electricity, hot water, which our water pressure then diminished to the point where you could not even shower
Mm-hmm.
because pipes were busting and things were breaking, and it was just a hot mess. It was definitely, I think, the one of the roughest times probably for anyone that I knew in this area. I mean, I've never experienced. I guess I did when I was younger, but we were prepared for those types of things. We knew they
Right.
were coming. We knew what would happen. I survived the blizzard of '95. We had 12 feet of snow. I'm jumping off balconies into the snow like it's nothing. We
Oh,
didn't have
wow.
school, but we had snow plows to plow out the snow. They
Right.
don't have snow plows down here.
Yeah.
They don't have salt for the streets.
Mhm.
People were having accidents, and they don't have their pipes insulated. You can't bury the pipes deep enough in the ground for them to not bust.
Right. I'm from
They're going to be
Minnesota.
exposed to those colder temperatures.
I'm from Minnesota, and moving south, like for me, Missouri was considered south, 9 hours south, but it's much, much warmer. And as a northerner, I would kind of laugh at like how nobody knows how to drive in the snow. And then I learned they really can't clear the roads. Like there are not enough plows. There might be like one plow for the whole city, kind of thing. And like the houses are not insulated. They're made to hold out heat. They're not made to hold in heat. And so in Texas, you've got the big, air conditioners, I'm sure, but not so much on the heat side. What did you
Yeah,
do? Were you
I
able
mean,
to work during that time?
no, no, I was not because, they gave us two monitors, big, large monitors, and I mean, the CPU was fairly small, but I did not have a workspace or a secure area to take
Okay.
that equipment
Right.
to work. I went to a friend's house who had two dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole family was there. There was no way that I could keep all that happening, and then still I've got my kid to take care of. They were getting rolling blackouts too.
Okay.
So it wasn't something that was a feasible possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the company recognized that. I didn't get in trouble for missing that time or anything like
Good.
that, so that's good. But I didn't get paid.
Mm. That's hard.
Yeah. So if you're not working, you're not going to get paid. And luckily for me, I did have some time to apply for paid time off. But
Okay.
what about the new people that didn't have any?
Right.
Or what if I had just used my vacation?
Mm-hmm.
There were other circumstances prior to that also called for that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's, been other power outages and things like that have happened too. So not everybody has 4, 5, 6 days of PTO to just put out there like that. So, I mean, I had 2, so that was good.
Wow. When you are looking at your new position, are you thinking that you will continue, and you're thinking about possibly finding a new home? Are you thinking about staying local to Texas, or now that you're going to be working for a company out of state, are you thinking that you need to be closer for any reason? Like, are they going to ask you to ever come on site, or is the world open to you now? Could you work from anywhere? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm sure I could work from anywhere, being that I'm remote. I really love Texas. I fell in love when I got here.
Yeah.
It is different than any other state that I've been to. And I've been back home. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so I've been back to Pennsylvania to visit. Um, not any part of me except for family.
Hmm.
That's the only reason that I have a desire to go back, is to be with family.
Yeah.
But other than that, my daughter would then be separated from her family, and I'm
Right.
not going to do that to her.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm separated from my family, and that's okay with me. But she's got others to see and get to know and keep that relationship. So
Yeah.
I think it would be selfish of me to just up and move. Now, if she moves away and she gets out of the house and she takes off, then, who knows what'll happen. But I really love Texas. I mean, this is my home now.
Hmm.
And I have family. They're just not blood.
Right. So at the beginning of this conversation, you're talking about how you're a social person and that you've been able to find some other ways to have your social outlets. Can you tell us what that looks like for you?
Well, I always hosted a game night at my house.
Hmm.
So even though my house is small, everybody still would come. We would sit around the coffee table and play games, and some would have to sit on the floor, and I mean, it was fun. But being that, since the pandemic happened, 6 foot distance is not something that's attainable in my house.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else's, but not mine. And nobody else really is hosting it. Plus, I like having it at my home. I like to bring people into my home. It's cozy or whatnot, and it's
Hmm.
convenient too for me. But I've noticed that I don't get the same kind of turnout that I used to. So I have, or I'm working on starting a virtual game night so that everyone can participate if they want to. So, of course, using Zoom, we will be playing games that you could play over the computer. So I've had
Hmm.
to do a little research on that, but I think it's going to get a good turnout. It could turn into something. Who knows?
So it's funny that you're talking about this because, well, two things. I actually met my husband because I was hosting a movie night at my house when I lived back in Missouri. Every week it was again. I had like the smallest TV of my friends, but I was, you know, able and willing to open my home, and people sitting on the floor and people like changing the toilet paper roll themselves and making the popcorn in my kitchen, and I just loved having everyone gathering in my home. I totally know what you're talking about. Um, but we actually have recently started game schooling our kids. Our older two kids, we have, once they hit the 100th day of school this year, I was told by the principal that the funding for for the students who are enrolled basically stops after about 100 days. And at that point, the school wouldn't be getting any additional funding by keeping my kids there. And I was like, okay, we're out. We're going to do our own thing. I was homeschooled as a kid for like 7 years, and so I know a lot about homeschooling. But that's an element that we have actually really embraced, is the gaming part, and like board games, and finding ways to like deep dive onto a topic because of a game that we've enjoyed, or vice versa, to play a game and then deep dive and like learn more. So like learning a lot about, we have a game about the states. And so like memorizing all of the states and the capitals has been really helpful, and like another one about colors. And now we've been playing Pandemic, which is a really ironic game to be playing in this year, but kind of a souvenir from last year. What kind of games are you guys doing? Like trivia or board games, video games?
Yeah, it's going to be more like charades. There's like Pictionary, because you can use a whiteboard to draw on it.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't done it yet, so I don't really know. It's going to kind of be a test it out, see how it works kind of thing once I
Yeah.
get it started, and I'll just improvise from there. But there's another one that's it's a story game where you just have people grab her. You've got 2 minutes, grab 5 items in your house, and come
Hmm.
back to the computer.
Okay.
And so then they grab their 5 items, and then you start telling a story. The first person starts, and they say, "Yeah, my name is Michelle, and I work from home, and this is the mouse that I use that for my work." And it's really cool because it goes like this,
It bends?
and
It can like curve?
um, it yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a slap bracelet mouse?
it's what's that?
Is it like a slap bracelet mouse?
Kind of like that. It clicks like that, yeah. I don't know if it would so much bend if you slap it. I don't want to try that, but sure it's not very cheap. But this mouse is $22.50 or something like that. And that's not how much it is, but I'm sure it was way more than that. And then it would go on to the next person. So then they would have to incorporate their item into my story that I started about the mouse.
Okay.
Yeah. And they could pick up, a piece of food and say, yeah, that mouse, I feed it this. And it could get very, very funny.
Oh, fun.
Because it's not really going to make a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows what people might bring. It might have to be a PG-13 kind of a game.
Oh,
night.
Yeah. How many people did you
usually have? It could get interesting if people are creative.
How many people did you have coming when you were doing it in your home? In the height of it.
I would say 6 to maybe 10.
Mm-hmm.
10 at most, usually. If there were more than 10, then there might have been another game going on elsewhere outside or something like that. Because I would, have beanbag toss or something like that outdoors when the weather permitted. But yeah, I would say at any given moment, we played Cards Against Humanity.
Mm-hmm.
You can have as many people playing that game as you want. So okay. I want to say we might have had like 12 or 13 people playing one time.
Okay.
It was very bad. I don't know if you ever played the game.
I played it one time, and it was with very, very close friends. Safe, good, close friends.
Yeah.
Any other favorite games?
Yeah. Another favorite game is Do You Know Me? That is a good way for you to get to know people if you don't already know them.
Okay.
And to find out who knows who the best, because it'll ask you, like, I don't know why this is coming to mind, like, it's like you fill in the blank. So you have 5 questions that you ask on one person, and everyone answers it with these yes or no cards face down. So I don't know what your answer is about Joe over here. So has Joe ever skipped school? Okay, so you'll answer face down. They put their answer on cards face down too. Uh-huh. So and then then Joe reveals his answer. You read back through them. Joe would reveal his answer, and then we would see if you and I guessed it right. And so that's kind of how it works. Is then you get points on however many you get right, and I don't know, I could probably offer a prize like a $5 gift card or something like that if I wanted to, but it's just you get bragging rights if you want it.
Right. It sounds good. Is it a little bit apples to apples-esque? Like a little bit similar to like
I've never played it.
Oh, apples to apples is very similar to Cards Against Humanity, I think. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Cards Against Humanity is a bad game. It's for people with really bad minds. I've gotten expansion packs, so it is an adult-only game. There's no children in the house or in earshot whatsoever. But they do have a family version, which is very, very fun. That, too, is a very fun game.
Yeah.
I just like you can have as many people as you want.
It's been really fun just learning about so many new games that we've never tried. Like, I was always into these, like, abstract strategy games, like Othello, and I really like Blockus, and, like, usually, like, 2 to 4 people. And I think I kind of got in a rut with all of those, and I hadn't realized how many other kinds of games there are. Like I was talking about Pandemic, it's actually a collaborative game. So everyone is working towards the same goal of basically saving the Earth from a deadly pandemic. And you either all win together or you all lose together. And it's still very exciting. Like, tensions are running high, and, like, you know, it's still got those elements of, like, winning and losing, except for, you know, you're all in it together and you can help each other. It's cool. Another one we just picked up the other day was Ticket to Ride. It's like a train game. Actually, one of my friends who interviewed earlier in the podcast at the beginning, one of my coworkers from back at Mayo Clinic, she had Ticket to Ride Europe. And she's like, hey, I heard you guys are into games. Would you guys like to try this? And I was like, yes. But then I went ahead and I got the original one because it's a little bit simpler. So we could learn the game. But yeah, that ended a little bit. Let's just say that I was winning and then I was losing and my husband left the game. It was a little bit chaotic at the end because, tensions are running high and everyone's into it. And even the 5-year-old's playing. My husband was helping like her do her turns, but we were like playing like the full on version with a 5-year-old and she's keeping up. With help actually.
Wow.
But honestly, I feel like games have been one of the things that have helped us get through this pandemic intact. The other day we played a game on my husband's lunch break. He gets an hour, which for people that work with a 30-minute lunch break, I've done it.
That would be awesome.
I like an hour. I advocated for myself to get an hour, even though no one else, we kind of had the option, but now everybody has that option you can do a lot in an hour.
I think everyone should have an option of their length of their lunch. Mm-hmm. If the company has the means to do that. I mean, I requested it and was told basically no because we're transitioning to another department because I was about to go through training. So they couldn't accommodate that.
No, was that at your previous company or going forward?
Everyone should have an option. Previous company. I'm going to request it at the new company.
Right. That is
I'm gonna set the pace for everything because I mean, after all, it's an opportunity for me to be heard about all of the things that I think that should be adjusted that weren't adjusted because these expectations were set in a different environment, and that environment is not the same. So we have to be able to adjust. These companies need to understand that there's an adjustment. People have children at home. People have to make their own lunch. There's emergencies that arise that maybe didn't arise because they weren't even available like that. But now people see you, they think you're immediately available. There's no way to really handle that. You can't just ignore an emergency.
So what would your wish list be if, in a perfect world, working from home, you would like to have an hour lunch or a flexible lunch? What else?
A little bit more of a flexibility of hours, I think would be nice. Which, moving forward, that's what I am going to have. I'll have more flexibility.
Good.
It's that I have to be available between this AM and this afternoon PM, and whatever you do on the beginning or the end of that time frame is up to you.
Okay. I love that. And that's
and then, just being flexible, I think, in general. I mean, if my kid were to walk in the room because the toaster oven is caught on fire or she's burnt the chicken McNuggets that she just made or something like that, I should be able to just be realistic and not have to I guess fake the funk. I still have to remain professional, but these people realize we're all humans here.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were talking to someone, and I've done it, I've called call centers before. I call my cell phone company, right? First thing I ask them, do you work from home? And I know the rules of being in like a call center environment and things like that, and how those types of things work. And I know the rules behind it, but if I want you to keep me on hold for 20 minutes and listen to 20 minutes worth of hold music versus you checking in with me every 3 minutes because that's the rule that you have to follow, if I'm okay with it, then why should you have to keep following these rules?
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Or if there's a kid, if I can hear you, I'm the customer, and I hear I hear someone walk into the room, I'd be okay if you call me back because you got something to handle.
Okay.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Me as a consumer. I'm okay, I'm understanding of it. Now if I'm busy, I'll tell you, no, we need to handle this right now.
Yeah. And
but I just think the flexibility of it all and understanding.
Like I was a waitress for 9 years, and I think I'm a lot more understanding about what waitresses go through, or wait staff in general. Things that happen. And you having worked in a call center gives you that grace towards people who are in that same situation. It's good to think of. So what
Absolutely.
else?
Yeah.
Flexibility. Anything else? You've got your desk.
I think,
You've got your
yep, I got my
equipment.
desk. I mean, it would have been nice for them to pay for our internet, or at least the increase in my internet,
Okay.
to accommodate that financially. Because that, I mean, I just made up for it with gas money. My gas money went towards my internet increase. That's all it was, really. In
That's a
fact, I
good way
think
to
my
look at
gas
it.
money was probably more.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then wear and tear on a vehicle and tires. You don't have to buy tires as soon, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that the most challenging thing that I saw happen is the lack of communication. Communication is a very important foundation for anything, even in your personal life. Being able to
Yeah.
communicate efficiently and effectively is the key to success. If you can't do that, you're not going to be successful. Not very successful, anyways.
Mhm.
Um, excuse me.
Do you
Um,
expect there to
but
be any kind of
there,
like disconnect since you are working with people who are going to be on site and you're the only person who's going to be remote? Like you're going to have to advocate for yourself. But if you're working for someone who's never worked from home, um, or have they? Like that's a big question. Like I'd like to know if
they
people have
have.
worked from home.
They have,
Okay.
though. So they were all sent home on the pandemic. So
Okay.
they know what that environment is like,
Mhm.
but now they're returning. So,
Okay.
but they don't have a training environment for remote,
Okay.
um, and they haven't fully. I mean, they were obviously fully functional, but me being the outsider now that they're all back, I am a little bit concerned about that because they might think I'm not working or I'm not doing my part or whatnot, but yet I am, and because they can't see me, they might not understand all of that's
Mhm.
involved. But I am an excellent communicator when it comes to. Sometimes I tell too much. Like I'm going to tell you every time I chew my food on my lunch break or something, or
I
I'm
I
going to tell
over
you every step
communicate.
of the way. Yeah, and I would rather over communicate than under communicate because then there leaves no room for assumptions.
Right.
And I just, I really hope that this gives me the opportunity to really kind of even make a change for the whole work at home atmosphere.
Mhm.
Not that I'm going to change the world or anything like that, but just, I mean, if I could establish, knowing what I know, establish a foundation for remote employees that would be extremely enjoyable, for that type of a position, then, I mean, how awesome would that be?
Yeah.
If then it creates a trend that, I could put together a team of people that are all remote and they love their job so much that they refuse to go anywhere. And they share it with other people who are trying to recruit them, and now it's created a trend, and who knows, I just changed all the remote jobs just because of my opinions. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the possibilities and opportunities that will come.
I think there's a really big difference between having to come home, on short notice without planning it. You didn't sign up for this. And then it's a different thing to make that decision. I am choosing this lifestyle. I'm looking at this for like the long game.
Yeah, I mean, the freedom to be able to work from anywhere is going to be nice, even though I'm not planning on going anywhere. But it's it's less stressful. I don't have to deal with traffic. I don't. I mean, I get up and get ready for work every day. I get dressed. I get cleaned up just like I would on site.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't. I honestly prefer to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
with this new company, I believe I will have video.
Oh,
So they'll be in training. They'll be watching me, which I did not have before.
Okay.
We had cameras, but we just never used them.
I see.
Half of them didn't work half the time. So, but um, that's not going to change. But I mean, there have been times that maybe I woke up late. So, that I'll just have to make do with that. I just won't, wake up late. I'll have to fix at
Right.
least this part from here up. Doesn't matter what's going on below.
Yep, I'm with you. Hey, did you want to chat at all about what you said that you have worked for a company and you also have some home business. Did you want to talk about that at all? Like what that's
Sure.
like
I've
juggling
always
or
been. Well, it can be challenging because my stability comes from my full-time day job.
okay.
I have what you could call maybe a side hustle or whatnot. I accidentally became a balloon artist and started to twist balloons because it just came naturally because of my daughter. And so it can be a little bit demanding because I feel like I'm always working and I don't ever get off of work because I work from home. So
Mm.
it's it's hard to separate them. But I've made it about like it's my life. I live to work, to live, to have fun, I mean, the only times that I have to leave the house, I guess, is the best way for me to just escape it all. But I don't mind it. It's just a part of me. I
You're
don't
the
get stressed because I have to work.
you're the third person that I have interviewed that I have met through the balloon community. But Charles was just a few episodes ago in New Zealand, and he also has a call center job actually that he really enjoys. And then Ken Shoot was early on. But the thing that is most memorable for me when I met you is you were talking about your new costume that you got, where you can dress up like a big red balloon dog. So if you've chosen a side hustle, at least it's a fun one, right?
Yes, it is. It is. And you missed it. I got a inflatable flotation balloon dog too, so
Oh,
it's red
really?
too.
Is it like for the
Yeah,
pool?
yeah. Here.
Oh, so that is how
That's
big is
just a
it?
picture of it.
So it looks just like
It
this
is
big
4
red
feet.
balloon
It's
dog.
huge.
Ooh, can you get on it? Yeah.
I had it blown up last night, and it takes up my entire living room. So I had to deflate it so that I could function. Hence the reason that I need to move because I just don't have the space that I need to be functional, both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
I'm outgrowing so much that I've got nets in my ceiling to hold the balloons when I have a balloon job.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I have balloons all above my ceiling right now.
That's really creative. Talk about
You
using
have
your
to be.
space. Yeah. So, and that's like me in the office in my closet. So you do what you got to do. I usually wrap up
Yep.
these interviews by just asking if there's anything that you would want to share with people who are just getting into working from home or who are considering it. Something that has helped you make it a little bit easier. Like you showed me that mouse, and I know that actually looks like a much better mouse than what I have. Is there any like tool or service or something that you've just discovered along the way that has made it your desk, other than that, has made it a little bit easier for you?
I would say your workspace, the workspace in general, you have to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I still need to get a better chair, but making sure that workspace is got you in, a position that you can just be functional and you've got the workspace that you need. I like it now because not only do I have the whole up and down desk, sit to stand, I would highly recommend that to anyone and everyone who even just works, period.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the office or not, every company needs to have one of those.
Yeah. It's a game changer.
And then I also have a control arm that my monitors will mount onto.
Mm-hmm.
and it allows them to pull forward to be like literally in front of my face.
Okay.
Like I can see the screen better. And so that has been helpful to have those that can adjust and whatnot. But yeah, that workspace is imperative to being comfortable because you don't want to be uncomfortable at home.
Yeah. And like, especially for you,
So
you
yeah.
said you're tethered to your desk, and so it better be good. Some people have the luxury of being able to stand up and leave and walk around and bring their laptop around. With your new position, will you have any more flexibility in that way than you did at your previous one?
I will have a laptop, but I'll also have two additional monitors.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't be able to necessarily just get up and leave.
Okay.
I don't really know. I'll have a headset, so I believe it may be wireless. I'm not certain. I didn't really ask those questions. I just knew that I needed to make a change because my previous employer was not prepared for remote anything. They weren't
Okay.
prepared for training. They weren't prepared for the supervisors weren't prepared. The systems weren't prepared for the communication levels that would be necessary because it's easy to communicate when you're in front of someone.
Yeah.
But when everything you do is through a chat, it's not efficient, it's not effective, and there's room for error because words typed in a chat can be reciprocated differently than the way they were intended.
Okay. Yeah.
So it definitely would be why. Yeah.
It was definitely a a big strain on everybody, and especially these, companies that have been operating a certain way for so many years, to just have to very quickly, fluidly, change everything. Something's got to give sometimes. Well, any last
Yeah. Well,
words
I think
for?
that this no, no, not really. Last words. Let's hope we can have some sort of normalcy.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think we're all forever changed,
Yeah.
no matter how we look at it,
Yeah.
and still embrace the ones that you love.
Yeah. Of course. All right, Michelle, thank you for taking this time. I know that you missed Balloon Jam to have this conversation with me. I appreciate that. But thank you for coming on in and sharing your experience, and good luck as you transition. I hope that
Thank
your wish
you.
list is met. All right.
Yes, yes, and hopefully I can change the remote industry forward.
For everybody. Everybody.
Thank you.
You and me
Yes, for
both.
one and all.
We'll have to band together
Thank you
to
so
make
much,
that
April,
happen.
for this opportunity.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
and
fun to
thank you
talk.
so much for the opportunity.
Very good. Thank you so much. We're going to say goodbye then. And this has been April Malone with Michelle Zuspan. And this has been Yes, I Work From Home. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.